Alright guys, in today's video we're going to be taking this store-bought skull and turning it into a really cool corpse skull. Let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do here is take my oscillating saw and we're going to cut these teeth out to make it look a little more realistic. Alright, so 5 minutes worth of work with the saw, and we open up the gaps on the teeth to make it look a lot more realistic. Let's move on to the next step. Alright guys, so the next step, we're going to take our glue gun and glue the jaw open exactly where we want it. Real simple. And you don't have to use a hot glue gun. You can use actual super glue. You can use whatever you want. I just go with a hot glue gun for everything. The next step, we're going to need our liquid latex. Other alternatives besides liquid latex, since this is really expensive. I used caulk mixed with ammonia for years. It's not the safest thing, but if you use it in a well-ventilated area, it's really cheap. You can buy a tube of caulk for about $1.50 and ammonia for about $1. And probably make a half gallon of a similar context of liquid latex. And of course we're going to need Viva paper towels. These are the best paper towels for making leathery, dried out skin. I don't know if I can get the focus on it right. Probably not. But it has super nice pores. It's almost like a fabric. It's not really so much paper. And the trick with these paper towels is you don't want to have a straight edge. You want to have a ripped edge. Because when you start using the liquid latex, you can actually fade this really good in each other instead of having a straight edge, which will be really noticeable when you start putting the latex on. So get a bunch of ripped up pieces ready to go. You're going to brush the skull with liquid latex so the paper towel sticks very well. And just brush it where you think you're actually going to put the paper towel, otherwise you'll have a nice film of liquid latex that'll look kind of weird on a Baer skull. Let's go ahead and put something on here. First layer of paper towel. And you see how the ripped edges can blend really, really well in. And don't worry if you create folds like that, it actually gives it a really nice texture in the end when you finish this up. And for things like the eyebrow areas, you can take your paper towel and roll it up a little and create a little more depth. So you put it on there like that. That'll make like he has a little bit of a rotted eyebrow here still. Now where it really starts to transform, we're going to take our paper towel and fill in the jawline here. So it really looks like there's rotted flesh between the jaw, and we're going to do a little rippage here. So let's prep it up with the liquid latex. I'm actually going to fill half the nose in so it really looks just like a rotted, partially rotted nose pretty much. So I'm going to take some air-dried clay and build it up. So just build it up how you think a nose would have looked on this skull. And don't worry about waiting for the clay to dry or anything. You're just going to throw a paper towel over it. It doesn't really expand or contract much once it dries either. It doesn't have to be perfect either. This is obviously a Halloween corpse skull, so things happen when you die, and it really doesn't have to be perfect. Just make it how you want. Put the liquid latex on. So we're going to take a cotton ball actually, and what you want to do is stretch it out to make it look like nice rotted flesh here. And we're going to throw that right about there. So let's prep the area. Don't be afraid to use a lot of latex, since this is probably going outside for me. I want it to last for at least a couple of years. Okay, so got it basically on. Let's douse it in some latex. Take some paper towels here and put it over this. And this is where it starts to get pretty tough, when the latex starts to really harden up and your gloves really are sticking together now. The brush is pretty caked up with dried on latex, so I'm trying my best to get this done. Alright guys, I actually had to run to work and run to the store to grab some things, so I got these ping pong ball eyes from the dollar store. So right now what I'm doing is I split it in half, and I'm actually going to trim a little bit off here so it lines up with the eye socket on the skull. The edges don't have to be completely perfect because we're actually going to take some more paper towel around the edge to make it look like the rotting eyebrow and all that. About where I want it, so I'm going to take my hot glue gun and now that most of the detailing is done, we can actually do the easy part, which is cover the entire skull with a thin layer of the paper towel to make the whole thing look like a leathery, corpsey skull. So when you're happy with your corpsing, you just gotta let this dry for probably about 4 or 5 hours and we can start painting. So I let this thing dry overnight and now we're gonna move on to painting. We're gonna take some English ivy green, mix it with a dab of golden brown, and hopefully we're gonna get a nice ugly green rotted flesh look. Alright, this is a pretty simple paint. All we're going to do is dab it on to make sure you're getting all the crevices here. A lot easier if you have a bigger brush, but this is all I have right now. And then take a rag and wipe it down. And wherever the high spots are, it'll wipe off. Where the low spots are, it'll leave a nice dark color so you have some depth in your color. Alright, so the green layer is done. I'm going to move on to a dark brown to get some really nice accents to really depthen this thing up. And I'm not going to do the entire skull really thick like I did with the green, so I'm just trying to create some nice dark accents on the top of the green to wipe off. I think we're about done with painting, so now we can do some work on the eye to make it look a little more realistic. So I'm going to be using some triple thick gloss. I use this for pretty much everything. It's a really good sealer. It'll give you a couple years of life on your haunted props. So we're just going to make the eye nice and glossy. This might take a few layers, but it does dry fairly quick. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hot glue gun down here and actually add a little bit of glue to make it look really goopy and gross. So I can also take the triple thick gloss and shine it up down here to make it look like, I don't know, he's tearing up or something gross. So just get this all nice and shiny over here. And I'm also going to do the teeth because I'll probably take the glue gun and make some strings going up and down so it makes it look like he has gross, thick saliva everywhere. Alright, I'm going to start with the goop on the teeth here. So you just put a little bit on there and string it down the eye a little bit. Just be random with this. Just think about what a goopy eye would look like on a real person, I guess. Yeah, that's pretty good. Pretty happy with that. So, if you like what you see here, be sure to subscribe to my channel for more videos just like this one. Greg Baer out.